I want to welcome you all to another episode of The Journey to Self. I am very honored tonight to be talking to Joe. Is Kohler, is that correct?
Yeah, Kohler, K-O-L-A-R, yeah.
Very honored. We have similar beliefs on things. I like listening to Joe because sometimes you run across people and the information that they give you or the way that they say it, you can pick up on it. Like two people can say the exact same thing, but you can only receive it from one person because they talk in your language or they present it in a way that it makes sense to you. And that's one of the things that I've always liked about Joe. We've shared some networking circles, and I just always liked what he had to say. So I figured I would bring him on and we would just have an open discussion. And the main thing that I wanted to talk about tonight, because I think that at the base of any change, the base of any success, there's an underlying platform, and that platform is what you tell yourself or what your story is or what you believe about yourself. And it's always playing. And we call those paradigms, right?
Yeah. First of all, Eric, thank you for inviting me on your show. I'm really, really honored. And I do agree with what you said. I liked you ever since I saw you on the networks that we shared 2 years ago, about over 2 years ago. And with the picking up the information, yes, you can have multiple people telling you the same thing. Our environment that we are in, coaching environment or mindset development, personal development, is getting very popular these days. It's very different than when Bob Proctor, which is my mentor, my boss, so-called, started. There were only few people. But you have to feel vibrationally aligned with the frequency of the person that is saying it. You can, your subconscious feel it, even that you don't consciously know it, if the information is coming from the heart, what is the intention behind the information, and if it's the one for you. If you listen to your intuition, which is one of our higher mental faculties, we have 6, you can't go wrong. People often look for advice outside and from too many sources. But if you listen, your internal compass, your intuition, you can't go wrong.
Now you just mentioned something that made me think about something. We're going to get way off topic, but whatever's supposed to be said and transmitted will be said and transmitted, right? But you talked about intuition. So would you agree that our intuition is real because we know everything? I mean, we know everything. We have access to everything. And it's a matter of I'm trying to think of exactly how you said it, but you feel it as opposed to knowing it. But you can only feel it because you know it, right? You just aren't aware of it.
Yes, words that we are putting onto things like intuition, love, fear, they're names that we as humans have put on the vibrational frequency so we can differentiate them. They're just names, they're just words for the vibration, for the feeling. Intuition is another vibrational frequency that we have. We have been given that from our creator. Now, I'm not a religious person, but I do accept that there is some force that have created us, being God, being Buddha, being Holy Guardian Spirit, whoever is believed to what is believable for him, that's what it is. At the end of the day, it's one source energy that have created us. Energy cannot be created or destroyed, it just is. Animals, same as we, have 5 senses that we use. One that animals have above us is instinct. On the other side, we have 6 higher mental faculties that we have been equipped. Once we learn, we can use them and become magic creators. we were created by Creator to create. He gave us every single tool that we need, and it has been implemented into us. We just need to learn how to use those faculties. One of them is intuition, as you said. Then we have perception. Maybe I'm getting in too deep into it, but I believe there's someone that needs to hear this. Mm-hmm. Perception allows us to choose how we will see the situation that we are dealing with. That will determine the outcome of the situation, because things are neither good or bad. Things just are, or situations just are. How we will perceive it, what kind of feeling we are going to give it to the situation, or what is happening, that's what is going to come out of it. I'll give you an example, if I may, one live one. My daughter is 11. She has been diagnosed with epilepsy when she was 3. So we are dealing or learning to deal with this situation for 8 years now. In connection to this, my cousin's wife have texted me 20 minutes prior to our call. Her 18 years old daughter has epilepsy as well, but way complicated form. She has to go for brain surgery to get it sorted, right? Now, on one hand, you have unaware person that is living in fear for 18 years because she didn't have access to these kind of informations that we are talking about. Personal development, higher mental faculties. She never heard of them. And then on the other side is me, that I have spent most of my adult life in and around people like Tony Robbins, Les Brown, Bob Proctor. So my mind, not only conscious, but my subconscious is so through and through with knowledge, awareness, and information. So I can use what I have in my subconscious mind to affect her belief system, that whatever she believes will come to fruition. Now, on one side, she can fear herself to death because I know that there is no greater love than you have for your children or for your child, right? But on the other side, you can use the same energy that you're using now to worry, to focus on the best possible outcome that is there. That this is the best possible scenario that could have happened, that doctors have found the tumor that is causing the problem. They can operate it. Now they just have to find a surgeon. So 75% of a battle is won. A, they have found the source of a problem. B, they can sort it, they can solve it. All you're missing is just C, to find the proper surgeon. Now, what I want you to do is focus on the outcome. I want you to create, that's what I said to her. I want you to create image in your head, in your mind, in your brain, whatever she can understand it, right? We always have to speak to people on the level of their understanding so they can implement the information and the knowledge you're trying to apply in there. Imagine scenario like in a movie, that you are after the surgery. Imagine it a month, 2 or 3 after surgery. When you're walking with your daughter in a park, it's a beautiful sunny day, and you're talking about what you went through, but with the knowledge, feeling, and understanding that it's in the past. It has passed by, and the outcome is 100% positive. This is the beauty of the applying the 6 higher mental faculties that we spoke a minute ago. You can either worry or you can start creating consciously. We are powerful beings.
So, if I understand you correctly, what you're saying is the conversation that you had with her was to imagine that it was already gone. She was already healed.
Yes. Our mind our subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between what you're imagining and what is reality, because we think in pictures. We relive situations in our mind in stories. Um, Storytelling is a very powerful tool in the world because everything is happening in stories. Um, you can take any situation person had in life. I've been divorced. I have went through bankruptcy twice, actually. I've been homeless. I've been sleeping on friends' couch. I had my phones disconnected. I had my social services disconnected. But that's a story that you have, again, two options. How are you going to relive it in your life? Are you going to feel sorry for yourself and blame circumstances and people in your life? Or are you just going to take that as a fact of whatever was happening before? Remember, we are always living in the present moment. There's always only now. Only now you can affect your future. Only now you can change your circumstances. And it all begins and starts in your imagination. In the pictures that you start creating in your head, how are you living? People call that sometimes imposter syndrome. Of course, if I look at my body structure, and if I look at your body structure, Eric, I could have imposter syndrome because I'm not as muscular as you, I'm not as big as you. But on the other hand, I can use that as motivation. If Eric could have done it, I can do it too. There's no difference between the two of us. The only difference is you are in the United States, I am in Europe. We have been given by our creator exactly same abilities. Not the same circumstances, but we can create our circumstances. We determine our circumstances. Nothing outside of us can affect us to the degree that we can say that we are powerless. We're not. We are the most powerful creators on this planet, and we can do anything.
I see, this is the dialogue. Excuse me. This is the dialogue that I absolutely love because I
Mm,
know it to be the truth, right?
yeah.
I know that we have had a conversation with somebody earlier today and somebody else last week about the same thing. That if you think about religion, in the Bible it says that we are created in the image and the likeness of God, right?
Yes.
So if I create something in the image and the likeness of this, what would you call it? You would call it a phone. You would call it a
That's right.
phone,
Yeah.
right? So if I'm creating the likeness and the image of God, am I not God? Not the God, but I have the same abilities because I'm created in the
Yeah.
likeness. If I come from the creator, that means that I have the ability. And in fact, I am a creator, right?
Yes.
I have the ability to control my reality. And you mentioned something very important, perception. Everything is based on perception. And I'm going to segue this into to the topic in 1 second, but everything is a matter of perception. So one of the other mental faculties that we have is our imagination. We
Mm-hmm.
have a powerful imagination, and you said it. You know, they did a survey at the Cleveland Clinic, which is a big popular clinic over here in the United States, where they had one group of people lifting 100 pounds, and they had another group imagining lifting 100 pounds, and the brain stimulus or an activity was the exact same for both groups.
Yeah.
We have a powerful imagination, and I can't remember offhand who said it, but a lot of people have said basically the same thing. If I can see it and I can believe it, because belief is so important, then I can achieve it. But you talked about perception, and I want to segue into the topic of the story, because perception, we see things right now the way we are in a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's based on the story that we tell ourselves. Whatever I believe about myself, and the two most important words I think in the things in the world is I am. Whatever follows that is what you ultimately believe about yourself. If I believe something, my perception is always looking for information to support that. we all have this story, and the story is never based on right now, which is the only place where life and is happening. Our story is generally based on stuff in the past. We have these situations that happen, and we tell ourselves and we create a perception of them. When I was little, my mom could have hypothetically said, "You're never going to be good at doing this." So I take that and I take ownership of that, and I repeat it in my mind over and over and over and over again. And anytime that I think about this, my mind says, I'm never going to be good at that. So I start to believe that. So, and I want you to talk about paradigms, because what we do is we have this thought or this perception of something, and we repeat it over and over and over, and it starts to grow roots. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. I just didn't want to interrupt you, but you said very powerful words, which I wanted to add after your example with the Bible. At the beginning, there was word. Even though I'm not a religious person, I respect every single information I can get, whether from Bible or from any other book. And the word was I am. The word wasn't God. The word was I am. Again, perception, how we see things, that's the way things are. So anything you put afterwards, I am, you are creating. That's why words are very powerful, because they cast spells. That's why it's called spelling.
Yep.
With paradigms, very little people, if we take that the Earth has 8 billion people, know about subconscious and conscious mind. The beliefs that you said with the example of when mother is saying to a child that you won't be able to do it, children up to the age of 7 have wide open subconscious mind. Everything they see, hear, and absorb goes right into their subconscious mind and sits there as a programming for their next future. They are like a sponge. You can be telling them one thing, but if they'll see you do different thing, they will copy what they see. I had a mentor from Australia at one point a couple of years back. He was giving very good example about this, what I'm talking about, with grandmother and roast beef. They were sitting at the family dinner, and he noticed then that when they took out the roast beef from the oven, one end of it was missing. It was cut. So he asked his mother, "Mom, why is there a piece of roast beef missing?" She says, "I don't know. I'm cooking the same way as my grandma is cooking, or my mother is cooking the whole my life. Why don't you go and ask her?" So he went to his grandmother and he asked, "Why is there roast missing?" And she says, "Oh, because when I was a little kid and my mother was doing roast beef, the oven and the pan where it was frying was short and the roast beef didn't fit in, so we had to cut the end. But now 2 generations later, we have bigger ovens, bigger pots for cooking. We still do subconsciously the same movement, the same habit as we have seen when we were growing up without thinking." That's why Bob Proctor is saying that 95% of people don't think. And it is true, because if we would consciously watch our thoughts somewhere on the screen and see them in writing, we would literally be speechless, because we are programming our subconscious mind with our thinking. And even worse, if you'll add feeling and emotion to that thinking, it's done. That's why there's a saying that birds of a feather flock together, right? That's a saying of Les Brown, which we both admire. It's all connected to the one thing. The way you think, your life is going to turn out.
Yeah, and it's and if we think about the paradigms, or the oven and the roast beef, and the kid hearing that he's never going to be good with anything, we automatically, there's a feeling that's in connection with that.
Mm-hmm.
Neville Goddard says he's got a book called Feeling is the Secret. And I think sometimes in connection with the story that, and I'll give you an example. I do a lot of work with people trying to lose weight.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always trying to figure out what's the story? What's the belief that's holding them in this place of bondage? And we start talking, and oftentimes most things go back to our childhood. So when we're little, a lot of times, and we're going through some type of pain,
Mm-hmm.
grandma will bake us cookies. Eat this, it'll make you feel better. That belief automatically goes into our subconscious mind that when I feel pain, when I feel discomfort, when I feel fear, eat this, it'll feel better. Right? But there's always a feeling in connection with it. And I often wonder if we become more addicted to the feeling, that the feeling has more power than the actual thought.
It does, yeah. It does. That's why Neville calls that book Feeling is the Secret. And if you start elaborating and thinking about any situation that you had in your life that you consciously now think that is responsible for something, there's always feeling behind that. Always. That's why emotional intelligence is really vital in life. Emotions are energy in motion. Emotions are supposed to be led by. Feel them in the present moment, observe them, and let them go, whether positive or negative. Because whatever you hold on to, with I'm looking for the word, whatever you resent to let go, you will lose. If I'm trying to find words to express exactly what I mean, but feeling is behind everything, and feeling is hammering the paradigm into our subconscious mind, because what paradigm is it's a set of habits and beliefs. So whatever you believe to be true, it will anchor into your subconscious mind. Then there's neuroscience behind that too as well, because you can create new paradigm two ways. Either with emotional impact, there's feeling again behind that, or with repetition. When the two synapses in a brain are growing new, with repetition, you're creating a neural pathway that is getting stronger and stronger and stronger. So that's why when, as well, when you said that when people are trying to lose weight, there's a program in our brain, whatever we lose, we need to gain back. See, again, words. We need, when someone wants to alter their weight, they should release what they don't, or what they don't need anymore. These little words and things makes difference in how we see ourselves. Self-image then is connected to it right away, because you can be spending 3 or 4 days in a gym, busting your ass off, but when you look in the mirror and you see again that fat pig looking at your back, because that's your self-image, you're never going to make any difference in a gym, because your subconscious mind has the image stored in your belief system that this is who I am. That's why most people have problem with releasing weight, because they don't alter the self-image they have. Now I'm bridging into book from Maxwell Maltz, Psycho-Cybernetics. You see, with the self-study and awareness, you get to see the roadmap, how our mind is operating, how the paradigms are formed, why we saw the situations in our life happening the way they did. The only thing behind that was our own ignorance of not knowing that we don't know. My own ignorance caused me battling through life for 14 years because I was ignorant to Bob Proctor's teaching. You see, again, perception. I could have looked at it many different ways, but with the awareness that it was my decision, that I didn't like Bob Proctor that I saw at the time, I lost. He didn't even know who I am, but I could have been teaching this, what I'm teaching now for the last 14 years. And just imagine how many lives I could have affected. It's mind-boggling, but that doesn't matter. That's in the past. The most important thing is here now. So this is why I do what I do, because I remember feeling an emotion again of those 14 years that I had went through because of my own ignorance. And now I can show people so they see and feel the difference. You can either choose path A and struggle your way up, or you can find someone's advice. It doesn't necessarily have to be me. It should be someone that has experience in what you're going through and show you the more comfortable way that you don't have to suffer so much.
So would you agree, like, for somebody to be able to change their story, the first
Mhm.
prerequisite is that they would have to want to. There would have to be a reason for
Yeah,
them to change. And the only way that there could ever be a reason is that they would have to use their imagination to imagine something different.
absolutely. The only thing we can't give to people or to person is want. That is the only thing that has to come from the individual itself. It even if it's in your line of business, if it's in my line of business, or any other type of life situation. It doesn't necessarily have to be business. If a person doesn't want, you can't do anything. You can give him money, you can give him knowledge, you can give him anything you like. He's not going to change. So first of all, yes, he has to want to change. There has to be decision.
So for somebody to recognize that, once somebody and before I go into that, I'm going to ask you this because it's been on my mind all day. Cybernetics. There's a quote in there, and I tried looking it up. I tried remembering it. It basically talks about the only thing that separates us from animals. And I
Mhm.
cannot remember the quote to save my life.
I can't find it either. But
The
that
only thing
means
that
that we have to
separates
go deeper into that work.
something like our imagination is the only thing that separates man from sheep and pigs.
Yes, yes, because sheep and pigs or any other animal, that's the only thing they'll ever be. They don't have creative faculties. First of all, they don't have imagination. They go by instinct. They go by their five senses that they have. We are the only species so far that we know, besides aliens, that we can so that we can create anything we desire. We don't put label on us, or we shouldn't. Um, I am a dog, and that's the only thing that I'm going to do in life. No, I can be teacher, I can be astronaut, I can be scientist, I can be whatever my imagination will create. And as Steve Harvey is saying, because it is in your imagination, that means it is possible. Why would God give you the image into your mind if it wouldn't be possible?
Yeah.
Now, the only thing you have to do is to want it. If you want it, take action. The best you can do is take inspired action and go for it. Search who have done it, what you're trying to do, or what you're looking to do, and learn from those who led the way or walked the path before.
Yeah.
It
We
is the most creative higher mental faculty that we have because everything begins in imagination.
Everything is created twice, right?
He, amen.
First in your imagination, and then reality.
And if you watch or listen to artists that either are painting or are creating music or any other form of art, they have heard it, felt it, and seen it in their imagination first. That's how it came to the physical reality. As you used the example with the phone a couple of seconds ago, someone had to see that in his or her imagination before they started to create it. It's the same principle as when you're going to build a house. You're not building a house from, you don't start from roof. You have a blueprint. So you had image of your house. You set it to the architect. Architect got into alignment with your picture, and he put it on the paper. Now we can go and create.
Yeah. So we have somebody who wants to change their life. They're sick of living the life of bondage that they currently have. They have some awareness that the way that they think is causing the problem. What do you suggest for them to do?
I suggest widen their awareness, because as a coach or mentor, I have learned, and I'm still learning, and I will be learning for the rest of my life, because learning process will never end. If you realize this, that the learning stage never ends, that's the first point for you. Because any book or course that you will feel aligned with, that you will open, you will see people's life story in it that you didn't see before. Your awareness will start widen and widen and widen. The more you will see, the more you will want to see. The more you will know, the more you will want to know, because it will open more possibilities for you to create again. What will I suggest? Start somewhere. Start there where you have, with what you have. Just start. Don't postpone it for another day. Don't postpone it for another week, or when this will happen, when that will happen. It's never going to happen. All you have is now. Past doesn't exist. Future doesn't exist. I love Eckhart Tolle. The past was happening in the present moment. So what it actually is a present moment that has passed. The future will be again present moment that will come in the future, but it will be happening in the present moment. This is the only place where we can affect our life or the change that we want to do in our life. So I would suggest for that person, for a person, being a woman, man, kid. I have kids watching as well, the talks that I do. Start now. Make a decision what you want to do in your life. Then there is a question coming to my mind, or that someone is asking, okay, what about if I don't know what I want? Well, take a clean sheet of paper and start writing down what you love to do, what makes you feel good. We're back again with the feeling. Feeling is very important. See, everything is connected together. For someone, it might seem like a lot of information, but when you take a step back in neuro-linguistic programming, it's called dissociation. When you dissociate yourself from the situation and you observe it, it's going to be way more clearer. That's why we are well able to give advice to someone that has a situation and is not connected with us, because we don't have emotions or feelings attached to it. We see clearer the picture. Then we can give advice to our own self. Les Brown is saying that you can't see the picture when you are in a frame. Absolutely. That's why even coaches and mentors have coaches and mentors. Every successful athlete in the world has a mentor and a coach. Why? Because when he is in a heat game, he's full of emotions and feelings in the game. He needs dissociated look from the side to tell him which decision or which move or which strategy is now better, because the other person, his coach or mentor or advisor, is not involved in the situation.
So
we would really need a live example with someone to start, right? Let's create an avatar. Give me some avatar, as we all are just the avatars in this world.
you want me to come up with a situation?
Yeah, let's bring on some live situation maybe that you remember.
Personally. Or
It
somebody
doesn't
that I know.
necessarily.
So here's
Yeah.
here's a good example. And I always talk about this client of mine that I had in the beginning when I first started working with clients. Her name was Sally. She wanted to lose weight when she was in high school and in college. She was in amazing shape. Did some modeling. But when I met her, she wanted to lose 100 pounds. And we started working together and working together and working together on trying to figure out why she would only lose a little bit of weight and she would gain it back. And this will tie right into the stories that we tell ourselves and how powerful that they are. She would lose 10 pounds, gain it back, lose 15 pounds, gain it back, but never lost more than 15 pounds. And the more we worked together, one day we had talked and she was telling me about an incident that happened to her while she was in college where she was sexually assaulted. Her perception of that event was that if she had not been in such good shape, this wouldn't have happened.
See, in that instant, there was a paradigm created with emotional impact.
Yes.
That's one of the two ways that I said. That's what it could have even been higher than that. It could have been put in to our subconscious mind as an imprint. It's so strong belief that her coping mechanism had no other choice just to operate on that. We have to bear in mind that from the evolution point of view, our brain is designed for two things and two things only: to survive and to reproduce. Everything outside of that has to go through pain and work to reset or reprogram it, right? So as her brain, because of the emotional impact, anchored with fear, got in, her subconscious mind saw her already as fat and protected. See survival mode. So I will be protected when I will be fat. Unless she changes the self-image that she has, nothing will change, because again, she's trying to lose something instead of releasing. We're talking about weight. And her brain, her cybernetic mechanism that she has, will always get it back.
And
That's why
that's
some people, I'm sorry, I'll just finish the line. That's why some people have a sayings as well. It doesn't matter what I eat, even if I drink water, I'll get fat. That's a really destructive self-belief. That's really destructive self-belief system.
but because of that belief, it will happen.
Oh yeah,
That's how powerful our beliefs
yeah.
are. But you're absolutely right, because that's what happened. The
Mhm.
paradigm was created based on that perception. The paradigm was created. And so every time she attempted to lose 10 pounds, she would find it. Every time she
Yeah,
lost
it's a
15
yo-yo
pounds,
effect.
she would find
Yeah.
it, because her belief now was, in order for me to be safe,
Mhm.
I have to weigh this.
That was priority number one for her brain, for her cybernetic mechanism. Cybernetic mechanism is like a autopilot in airplane. It doesn't matter what the pilot will do once the autopilot is turned on. The autopilot will correct the deviation from whatever happens, the turbulence, or he will turn the steering of an airplane. The cybernetic mechanism will correct that every single time. That's how rocket systems are functioning. They're failing all their way to the target, but the cybernetic mechanism keeps correcting it the whole journey.
But so many, and that's why I think a lot of people don't realize that they're operating like Sally was operating, where they're operating off of this story, this limited belief, this paradigm that was established based on whatever it was established on. And it was through repetition that it got stronger.
Yes, you see, most people don't realize that our paradigms and belief systems were created by people that have raised us, our parents, school, friends, environment. And they didn't know that they didn't know. Again, they were repeating something that they have been installed themselves by their environment. And if you take school educational system, I don't care in what country in the world it is, it doesn't teach you things like this. So you actually have to go and look for yourself if you want to know more. You have to be hungry for information to change something in your life. If you see 90%, 95% of the people in the whole world operates mechanically. My dad was a baker, I will be baker, my son will be baker. This is just an example, right? And it works in every area of the life that we tend to look at, unless you start, unless you consciously realize that there could be other way, that there could be other possibility. And if you see anyone in this world having something that you desire or you're longing for, that means it is possible. But again, you have to start with that what you named. You have to want it. And if you want it badly enough, you'll start searching. You'll start looking for it. You'll start changing your frequency and you'll start attracting other sources of information, people, circumstances that will keep bringing that to you. This is how powerful our mind and brain is. I'll give you an example. I don't know what is the least popular color of the cars in around the area where you live. Let's say it's red, okay? I'm just making this up. You see the least amount of red cars. But the minute you'll buy a red car,
See tons.
all of a sudden there will be a heap of red cars. Like an example, the last car I bought was a Ford Mondeo. You call it Fusion in the United States, Ford Fusion. I love that car. I haven't seen that model before. But the minute I drove out from the dealership, I felt like every second person has a Fusion, right? This is how our mind operates. It will start looking automatically by for things that you are aligned with on the frequency that you operate. Everything is about frequencies. Just another example popped into my head. 95% of people in this planet are on AM frequencies, but they're trying to catch FM music. It's never going to happen. Never. They have to get themselves to the FM frequencies to be able to get what they desire.
Yeah.
This jump, this quantum jump, is the awareness, the learning, the self-development, the process in any industry or area in this world.
Yeah. You mentioned, and I mentioned it also about repetition. So we have this person. So let's say Sally decides that she has this imagination and she finally can believe herself to being smaller, releasing the weight. But she has this fear all the time, right? That she has this paradigm. How does she change that paradigm?
I actually advised one person about this. I just remembered. First thing I told her is to put her picture from the time that when she looked the way she wants to look now on her mirror, because that's her, right? It's not a creation or a figment of imagination, it's her. And start feeling and see it being that figure or pose at the moment. Affirmations, it's another good step, but affirmations, not only that you'll read from the paper by just by blabbering them out. You might start that way, but you'll get into the stage of believing and feeling as it to be true. That will shift very quickly the picture that you have of yourself. This is actually a better example that you mentioned with Sally, because she's been that way before, that she wants to look now. So it's easier for her subconscious mind to get that back. The part where she will want to work more is the feeling of being safe and protected. Again, I can't say, and I don't know what caused that situation, but I do believe that we are responsible for everything that is happening in our life. Okay, so one way or another, she must have attracted that situation to her life, unconsciously or consciously. Whether she saw something or she overheard a conversation and she attached feeling to it.
So you're saying you believe that everything that we go, everything that we see on the outside
It's a
was
reflection of
somehow
our
created
inside.
from the inside.
Absolutely. Yeah. Any results that you have in your life, me including, that we don't like, came from our internal state. If we want to change anything on the outside, we have to start changing things on the inside. Why situations like this are happening only to certain people or to certain type of people? That's the question.
Yeah. You know, one of the books that I read or I listen to on a regular basis over and over and over and over again is As a Man Thinketh.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I love that said is that we oftentimes want to change our circumstances, but we're unwilling to change ourselves. Because
Exactly.
I agree with you 100%. Everything, if all we are is energy, right? If all we are is energy, and even the words that we speak is energy, the things that we tell ourselves are energy. Every energy has its own vibration, and that vibration we call a frequency, right?
Yes.
So whatever is on that frequency, whatever is on the frequency of where you are right now, is the only
Mm-hmm.
thing that you can attract.
Attract. You said the key word. Attraction. Law of attraction. Law of attraction is actually secondary law. The primary law to that is law of vibration, which means frequency. So whatever frequency vibration you were on, that's what you were attracting. And the more powerful is feeling attachment to it. If you use this combination, boom, you have a result.
So then it's the exact same philosophy or the exact same formula to change.
Yeah, absolutely. And it
Change your
applies to
vibe.
any area.
You change your vibration and you add feelings with it.
Yeah. And it starts in your imagination. And we are back to step number one. Everything is connected. You and me, we are one. We came from one source, one creator. We have the same abilities. We have same options. We can do exactly same things. People just don't see it that way because they weren't taught that way. They don't have that awareness yet.
Yeah.
But they can get to it. They can grow to it. They can learn that. I did. I didn't have this awareness. Remember what I said a couple of minutes back. I was ignorant for 14 years towards my mentor, Bob Proctor. That was my own choice, my conscious choice, being ignorant. Being ignorant means don't know that you don't know. But once you gain a little bit of awareness, you can change that. See, I did change that. Now I work for him.
Yeah, it's a formula, and if I'm following you, the formula is that you have to imagine something,
Mhm.
you have to create a desire for it, you
Mhm.
have to take that desire and create feelings with it. And
I'll give you one live example to this, which will be beneficial for watchers or listeners, because our subconscious mind doesn't like word have to, right? That's something that is forcible. Can I use you as an example,
absolutely.
with your permission? Can you remember your first love of your life?
Yes.
Can you go back to the feeling when you met that person and you had so-called butterflies in your stomach?
Yes.
You could feel the vibration and the tingling in your hands when you saw that person. All you could think of was how to be with her, how to um, be as connected as possible, and you started imagining life together, wedding, kids, dates, dinners, trips, everything. We started in imagination and we connected that to the feeling. And because I've been there too, because we could see that already being a reality, that's what it attracted to us. You have to think from the end, Neville Goddard. You don't have to really care about the process in the middle of it. You have to be dead serious about what you want. And the universe will do the rest. Universe will attract situations, people, circumstances that will support that.
And the increase in the feeling raises the vibration.
Absolutely.
The energy behind it raises the vibration. The more you put something into that energy, the energy becomes stronger. It vibrates at a different frequency. That's how we change.
Yeah, this is where the saying comes from, like attracts like.
Yeah.
You see, these things are so simple when you get to understand them. It's not easy to go through personal development at the beginning. But once you see the simplicity of it, you'll realize that the only difficulties in life we have is that we don't know how simple it can get. Because we have been programmed different way.
Yeah.
It's like, did you ever have phones in America called Nokia 3310?
Yep.
They were like a hammer. You could break a bus with it. So what unaware person is using Nokia 3310, but trying to Google something on that. It's not going to happen. There's no software for it. There's no screen for it. There's no supportive system for it. But he's trying desperately. He has to grow into awareness, and the whole new world will open. But everything is possible to change.
Yeah, it's I think the other thing is that because of these paradigms, we get so comfortable in the limited. You talk about it surviving.
Yeah.
Most of us stay in a survival mentality. Like we feel like that we're lucky, which you are lucky, because there's a lot of people that don't have jobs. But if you find a job that you can bear, right? If you find a job that you don't necessarily like but pays you well, you can get married, you can have a nice house. A lot of people believe that that's the end to all. Now that same person living in that space can have this burning desire within himself, knowing that there's something else.
Absolutely. And
But
we
it's
have
so
numerous
easy.
examples like this.
It's so easy to stay in this comfort, familiar place. So I think a lot of people want something different. But because they have such limited beliefs of even being able to achieve it, they feel I'm lucky to be right where I am right now. Even though I'm not truly happy, but I'm not miserable.
Yeah, but it's a decision.
It's
Because you see,
absolutely a decision.
even though environment is one of the biggest factors that is affecting our life, the people that we listen to, the beliefs that we implement into our mind, that's how we are going to live. But then it's a decision. If I am good in this situation, even though it's not what I love, it's not what I would really desire to have, but okay, it's a decision made. Indecision, it's a decision too. So there's no want for more. If there would be a want to have more, that person would break the world to get what he wants. No doubt. You have to feel it. Again, we're with the feeling. I know deep inside of me that there is more because I see it in the world every single day. And I'm not talking about material things. I'm more inclined into feelings as well, even though I'm a visual person. But what is the reason for us to be here? To work dead end job for 40 years and then retire with empty pockets to do what? To not create, just to My mind at this stage can't even comprehend that. For some people, it's okay. For me, it's not. If I am able in my lifetime affect only one person's trajectory of life, in my understanding, it's better invested time than to be stuck somewhere for 40 years where I hate the guts of the job or whatever is in there and just to be in. See, it's a resistance that's causing sickness in people's body. When they do something that they hate, it's a bad feeling, bad vibration. And then people are asking, why am I fat? Why am I sick? Why am I unhappy? Why am I divorced? Why am I divorced? Why am I alcoholic? Why am I addict? It's all coping mechanism with feelings. And it comes down all to understanding and to awareness.
Yeah, and
So,
go ahead.
no, go ahead.
And at the end of the day, the reality of it is that we cannot escape ourselves. We
No.
cannot outrun ourselves. And I think each one of us has that within them. Each one of us has intuition. We have feelings. We have passion. And the thing about self-development and self-understanding that I absolutely love is the deeper I get into it, the more I understand about myself, the stronger the passion gets, the stronger the drive gets, the bigger the desire gets. Because you said it, I can't see, because we have one life to live. I can't see in this blessing of this carnation
Mm-hmm.
to live it in a fashion that doesn't live with my passion. To spend every day doing something just to do it. I'm a very passionate person, and I agree with you. I don't care how many times I get this, I fail at this. I don't care how many mistakes I make along the way. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And again, as a man thinketh, it says a man must fail until all the weakness is gone. And whether that weakness is fear, whether that weakness is understanding, whatever it is, I don't care how many times I fail or how many times I go broke. I would rather live every single day from a place of passion.
Absolutely. And there's one higher, obsession. You have to be obsessed with what you want in life. You probably can imagine because you're a more experienced person than I am, but I stopped counting uh, how many times people have been telling me on my life's journey, get a job, because I lost two companies, three companies. I went bankrupt twice. I lost numerous cars that were on a lease, right, connected with the company. I lost houses. I lost apartments in the process of it. Why don't you get a job? Because that's not my calling. That's not my mission. Every single situation that I went through in my life is propelling me higher and to some higher path and a higher mission and calling. And I use this as a stepping stone. And fast forward, I am using my own experiences with my clients. And I'm not coming only from the book, but I can put my feelings on the plate in front of them because I lived through it. I went through what I'm teaching. That's a totally different level of understanding. And people feel it straight away, the vibration and the energy that you're talking about, because you can spot the difference if someone is teaching only from material that he has in his hands or he's talking from experience. Like if I look at you, Eric, now, I see your structure build. So I know when you'll open your mouth and start talking about how to develop muscles for me. I know that you're not reading from the book, but you did it. You went through it. That's a totally different learning.
And on a vibrational level, you can't fake the vibration.
No, no. You see, when you step into a room next time, I know you know it, but for whoever is watching or listening, watch the people if they're looking at you, how they're looking at you, and what is the vibration in the room. Whatever you bring into room, you can change the vibration in the whole room. And it doesn't matter what you have on you, like clothes or shoes or hat. It doesn't matter. It's your vibration that will affect the whole space where you enter. I remember we were joking about this with my brother many, many times, because anywhere we walk, the two of us together, first of all, we look alike, even though there's a 4 years difference. But we walk into any room as we own it, because we do. And people feel it. They're looking at us. They're looking at the direction that we're walking. And when I wasn't aware of this, I always thought that there is something wrong with me. Change your perception. There's nothing wrong with you. You just weren't aware of your vibrational frequency. And now what I do with my life, I try to, I don't try is a better word. I do whatever humanly possible from my position is to leave every single person better than I found it. That's what I truly believe. That's what Bob Proctor is teaching as well, was while he was alive.
So let me ask you this in conclusion. I'm sure that we can both agree that the journey to self is not an easy journey.
No, it's not.
You're going to have obstacles. You're going to have people from this direction telling you this. You're going to have outside influences. You're going to have so much self-doubt. There's going to be a lot of self-doubt, and you're going to lose this. And you mentioned obsession. You have to be so obsessed with whatever it is that you believe that you're here to do and who you are. You're going to have to be so obsessed that you're going to be willing to lose everything that you've been told out here is important. Knowing all of that, would you change anything that has happened along your journey?
Not a single second. Every single decision that I have made in my life, and I'll tell you, Eric, there was 20 years of hardship. I know I don't look like it, but I take care of myself since I was 11. So there have been a lot of years, a lot of tears, a lot of regrets at that time. Now, from the position where I am at the moment, I don't regret any decision, any situation, because everything is happening the way it's supposed to propel you there for what you asked for. If it wouldn't meant to, it wouldn't happen that way. So if it did, it means it is aligned with your internal beliefs and what you want. I asked for this, whether unconsciously or consciously, I did ask for it. If I want something better in my future, I have to ask better. And if I want to ask better, I have to know better. So again, I have to widen my awareness. That's why I said at the beginning of this talk, we will never stop learning. We will never stop exploring. This universe, this planet, this world is so massive that we could live 100 lives and we won't be able to comprehend everything.
And I feel the exact same as you.
Mm.
I don't think that there's no greater privilege that a man could ever have than to understand who he is.
Absolutely.
And to know that we can shape everything that we see. And we realize that we're the victim of nothing except for our inability at that time to raise our vibration.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, when I realized the value of the setbacks and hardships that I went through, when I passed on my experience and knowledge to someone whose energy shifted like this and his whole life twisted because of one experience that I shared, because that person all of a sudden saw that there is possibility. There is another way through which he doesn't have to suffer. That shifted my whole perspective on word struggle. Because I remember my worst time when I discovered Les Brown. I remember that feeling of hopelessness, of not seeing the point to live or not seeing the way which to go. And that voice that we both love gave me that hope that I'm giving back.
I just thought about
I
something.
would,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I just wanted to correct the word hope to faith, because I'm a strong believer of faith.
When I was, it's we never understand. We cannot possibly understand. And you mentioned it. There's no good or bad. There just is. And I
No,
think
it's not.
a lot of times we make that mistake because if something gives us the allotted amount of pleasure that we want out of that situation, we say it's good. If it doesn't give us the amount of pleasure, we say it's bad, but we don't really even know the meaning. When I was 12 years old, and I think I had been adopted for a couple years by then, but I grew up in foster homes and went through all this, and so I had this terrible self-image of myself. I was 12 years old, and I was on punishment for something because I stayed in trouble when I was little. So, in order for
You
me to
had a
have
lot
to
of
be watching,
energy.
yeah, a lot of energy. In order for me to be watching, and I think it was a PBS special, which is I watch
Mhm.
cartoons. I wouldn't have never watched this, but for some reason
I
that
still
day,
do.
I love cartoons. these these kids movies, I love them. It makes me feel young, you know what I mean? And I just
Yeah.
anyway. So I was watching this PBS special at 12, and it was Les Brown, right?
Okay.
It was Les Brown, and it was and he had talked about being labeled special ed, which I had been labeled special ed. He had talked about his childhood and his mom giving him up, or I don't remember the exact circumstances, but whatever it was,
Hmm.
it touched me on that day. On that day, it resonated with me so much that I remember it to this day. Fast forward 40 years, 30 years, 40 years. I joined Power Group or Power
Power
Voice
voice. Hmm.
because of Les Brown. Right?
Yeah.
Les Brown reappears in my life when I was 30 because I was just getting into wanting to be a speaker, and we had some mutual associates, right? And so I always wanted to link up with Les Brown. So Power Voice comes along, and I get involved in that. Hence, I get connected with John. Hence, I get connected with Bob Proctor, and hence my whole life gets changed. Now, when I was 12 years old, I didn't know that one thing and being familiar with Les was going to bring me to this place in my life. So we never know what the point of something is, right?
Steve Jobs quote is, "You can connect the dots only by looking backwards." We have very similar story because I had the same paradigm created through emotional impact with Les Brown, because I said it to him when we were on the lessons. Then when he called me, we had a little discussion, that man saved my life without even knowing it. And when I pulled myself with gratitude and thanks to his work at that time, I sworn to God, and I'm not a religious person, that I will make sure that I will create as many possibilities to give that back to people in my life. And couple of years later, I found the Power Voice program, same as you, which led me to John. And because of his way of coaching, it led me back to Bob Proctor. And it led me to realization that I was ignorant for 14 years. You see, everything is again connected, and everything is happening the way it's supposed to. Now, again, we have two choices. I could have remained stuck in my ignorance and ignoring Bob because I didn't like the image that I saw in the movie Secret. Or I could shut up my ignorance, listen, see, and observe, because everything that is repeating is happening for a reason. The reason might be that you were ignorant, as I was before, and you didn't see the message that was supposed to propel your life forward. Because I want to highmark this for whoever is watching or listening. We will always do more for someone else in our life than for ourselves. So if there is no motivation to change your life, I'll repeat a quote that I heard from Guy on training that we were together. If you don't step up now, imagine how many more people have to suffer because you didn't share your story, because you didn't pursue your dream that you wanted out of fear, out of ignorance. I don't care out of what it is. Imagine how many people are suffering through the same situations that you did. You have the knowledge how to overcome it, but you're so selfish and ignorant that you're not sharing. This struck me really, really hard and shook all my belief systems because I had insecurities. My self-image was bad. I had fears. Prior to Power Voice, I spent 3 hours recording 3 one-minute videos. That's how bad my self-image was. When I see them videos now, it's unreal the change that human being is possible to go through. You know, it all comes to intention behind it. If you know that you can save somebody's life, because my life was saved by less, there's no fear. Fear of what? Maybe I'm getting sidetracked, but somebody needs to hear this. The two biggest fears that we have as human, which I believe are public speaking, which is this in a form or in a way, or fear of dying. They're the two strongest ones. On March 1st, 2021, I have died. I was out for 45 minutes. My lungs burst for no particular reason, doesn't matter. A couple of months later, I got the opportunity to speak on Les Brown's Power Voice Summit, the last one. I waited 6 summits to make a decision. And me dying took for me to realize that I have to be on Power Voice because I made that promise way back. That's our paradigms that keeps us stuck, our self-image, our cybernetic mechanism. It's all connected together that we spoke about for the last, I don't know how long we were speaking, but it's all awareness and it all can be changed.
And to summarize what we talked about, if in order for us to change our story, we have to imagine an alternative story. We have to then visualize what it's like to be in that space. We have to connect feeling with it. How does it change your life to be in this position? How would you feel? Right? We connect the feelings, we raise our vibration, and we add affirmations to it. And, you know, one thing that Bob would talk about was when we figured out what the belief was, in order to change that belief, we wouldn't even focus on the belief, but we would then come up with a polar opposite.
Yes. The law of polar opposites. If there's up, there must be down. If there's plus, there must be minus. So if there's a problem, there has to be solution.
Yeah. So with Sally, that was one thing that I did. She was afraid that if she released the weight, she'd be unsafe. And the polar opposite of that, basically that we worked on, is I'm so happy and grateful now that I realize that I am safe within my body and I can protect myself.
Beautiful.
Opposite.
Beautiful.
Most people, I don't want to say most people, but you said it before, we weren't taught this.
No.
We weren't taught any of this. We were basically taught, we were domesticated to believe that we were only capable of doing certain things. And we were taught to have a limited belief, and we were taught by a lot of times teachers and parents, and they had the best intentions, and their intentions was to keep us safe. And so we decided to live this life of being safe.
Yeah. We were programmed the software by society, and we never did update until we became aware. I can see that on my daughter now. She's 11. She was labeled special. And I see what the education system does, because my daughter has epilepsy, right? A mild form of it. But those children are treated different. They need special attention. But I see my programming that I'm implementing to my daughter, and I see the difference of what she does. I see the difference in her awareness, how she sees things, right? In comparing if she would be only programmed by school or by society. That's what it's called, being aware.
I listen, I feel so amazingly blessed by everything that has occurred in my life. All the years of feeling like I was the victim,
Mm-hmm.
because I think that in order to feel like you're in control of everything and to appreciate it, you always appreciate it more once you come from a place of feeling like you're a victim, because I think that that's the state that most people stay in, is I'm a victim of outside circumstances. So when you
Mm-hmm.
figure out that you're only a victim of outside circumstances because you haven't figured out that you've created these circumstances and that you can create whatever circumstances you want to create, once you discover that, you have all the power in the world.
Absolutely. That's the power of storytelling. But not only storytelling from speakers as we are, but storytelling in your own mind to yourself. Um, Something that hit me was that you said that you were going from foster homes to foster homes, right? I grew up without a father, never had one. I remember the feelings and situations when I was beating myself up mentally, why I don't have a father, why every other kid has a father, etc. Blah blah. It goes for years until you realize, right? It's again perception when you grow into awareness, what you can do with it. Because I didn't have a father, I grew up into the person that I am. I'm not perfect. I never will be, because throughout all my life, I will have something to learn to become better. But I can always be better.
Right.
I can always do better. That's again a totally different angle of understanding. So, in the fact is that at the end of the day, it was blessing that I didn't have a father, because I turned out the way that I did. I am satisfied with the way my inside is set up, my awareness, and that I know that through my development, my learning, I can affect other human beings to have better life. Not easier. Life isn't easy, but better. This is something that money can't buy. And as I mentioned before, that everything is happening the way it's supposed to, or it would happen otherwise. This was the plan the whole way.
And whose plan was it?
Creators, mine that I don't remember, but it came from some imprint. I don't want to go too deep into this. Let's put it on creators' plans, and
But
we are the creators.
the thing that I always believe is that it's not about learning anything. It's about remembering,
Yes.
because we have all the knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
We have it all. There's and I don't know who I heard it from, but I was very young and I heard something along the lines of, is we asked to be here for a reason. There was something
Mm-hmm.
that we had to be here to do, and then we come here and then we spend the whole rest of our lives trying to remember what that was. You
We
know?
can go into this subject because I love it, but it's going to be for another 2 hours.
Yeah, right. I we'll have another one of these because I really enjoyed
Of
this.
course.
Um, I really believe that if somebody pays attention, it'll spark something within them, and that's the whole reason that I do this podcast. Is because a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times we go through life blind. We
Mm-hmm.
don't know who we are. We don't know that we're creators. We don't know how powerful we are. We just follow the blueprint that has been set for us to follow by whoever set it, and we never really take the time to look deep within ourselves and figure out really who we are and what we want and what resonates with us and what makes us feel that feeling that money can't buy. And I think that that's what we've discovered. We've tapped into the ability and the luxury and the blessing and the privilege of knowing who we are. And that's the whole point of life, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to watch my mouth because every word I say from now on will open another discussion for another hour or two. You see, not for a single minute I felt like this is an interview, right? This feels like home because it's talking with a person that I admire and I like, and it's something that um, I live by, and it's interesting to see um, the difference between the present that have passed before in my ignorance and the awareness and understanding now. And you can see that by observing people, by the paradigms that they behave when they stress, when they yell, when they run. It's not necessary. When you get aware that you create your life, if the whole world will change. Because you are your world. You are the world. If you wouldn't be here, there wouldn't be no world. Once you'll wrap your mind around that, everything will start shifting. You stop caring what other people think. I don't want to use any harsher word, but you start caring about what they say or what they believe. At the end of the day, you are the only person you're going to spend 24 hours a day, all your life with. So you have to take care of you first. Here and here, everything will change.
Yeah, we have to, because I could go on a whole nother tangent. We have to we have to get together again. And I just share this last thing that I just thought about. This I was blessed in my 20s or early 30s to run across this Buddhist sensei.
Mm-hmm.
And he would whenever we were somewhere, he would like go sit over there and find yourself in everybody. Find you within that person. And I'd study
Mm-hmm.
these people and I'd watch them and I'd always be able to find myself in them because, like you said, we're all the same. We're all connected.
We're all one.
We're all one.
We're
Now,
all one.
as I sit here right now, we're having this discussion. I think to myself, today when I meet somebody and I meet clients, I can listen to a very short statement from them. If I'm in front of them, I can generally, from their energy and what they're saying, I could tell you what their paradigm is.
Yeah. And it's amazing.
It's amazing. And I just put it together that part of that, like I didn't have any idea when he would tell me to do that, that it would lead to this moment. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Which brings me to, and I don't know who the quote is by, but the quote basically is go as far as you can. And when you get there, you'll be able to see, go as far as you can see. And when you get there, you'll be able to see further.
Yes.
And I say that to anybody who wants to make a change and you think to yourself, I don't know how to do that. Like you said, start from where you are. Do as much as you can do. Move forward as far as you can. And when you get there, you'll see more.
I believe that this saying is from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., right? You don't have to see the whole staircase. Just take the first step and you'll see another one. Our headlights in the car operate the same way. You don't see 500-mile distance. All you see is a couple of feet. But you know and believe that the road is there. So you go in faith and you believe that the road will unfold as you go. And it will, because you believed. That's how simple it is.
Just got to believe.
Yeah.
Joe, I want to thank you before we get started on something different.
I love this conversation. I thank you for this quality time.
I have thoroughly enjoyed this, and I'm telling you that we could keep talking for at least another hour.
Yeah, easy,
Because
easy.
like you said, it's always refreshing for me, and I grow from it. Just your energy, I grow from, because it's like when I listen to you, it reinforces everything that I've come to believe.
I want to say something, and I want people that are watching to wrap their mind around this. What you just said, Eric, you asked for it. You send me as a reminder for you to remember.
Mhm.
And that's connecting to what you said before, that we came here fully equipped. We just need to remember
Just need to remember.
what we knew. Yeah. And some people might ask, well, okay, if it's this way, why don't we remember everything that we learned? Well, imagine that if you are here for 25th time and you would remember every single decision that you made before, your mind would go bananas and they would lock you in the cage. So that's why.
And what if you live 50 years, but you remember everything in the first 10? Right?
There we go.
Hey, I appreciate it, Joe. I thank you. My watchers and listeners will appreciate it. And we really need to do this again.
We will. We will. Thank you for inviting me.
All right, buddy. Enjoy the
Take
rest
care.
of your
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.
You too. Bye.